Good evening, Hope of Ruth. I'm Bethany Levitt, and I'm so blessed to be with you guys tonight. Summer asked me probably a couple of weeks ago to maybe a month ago to see if I wanted to share with you guys what the Lord's been putting on my heart, and I was super excited for her to ask me that. I know you guys haven't seen me before. On Saturday nights, I teach the little kiddos, so I'm all the way in the back of things, but a few weeks ago, the Lord put on my heart the story of David and Goliath, and I was thinking, okay, I know this story forwards and backwards. I grew up in the church, you hear this story all the time, but he really just said, just dig deep into it. So I started reading it one night, and the Lord just started pouring things into me just showed me things that I've never even noticed before. And so I just started writing things down, and I was like, okay. So I want to share with you guys about David and Goliath. The whole story is centered around this battle, right, with David and Goliath is this huge giant that no one wants to take on. So, and here comes this puny little guy, David, right, who comes in and was just like, I got this, right? So when I think of a battle, I think of it, like in the movies, like you have two sides, the good side and the bad side coming together head on, right? But when you see the enemy knows your weakness, right? So how do we fight against that? How do we combat that? Because the enemy is coming at us. And how do we fight against what he knows? Because he knows our weaknesses. He knows how to get those little cracks. And so how do we fight against that? We fight against it by using the weapons God has given us personally. God has given us each a weapon individually. They're not all the same, but they're individual. Just like when David was getting ready to fight Goliath, it said, David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. So David took them off. Then he took his staff in hand, and he chose for him 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag in his pouch, which he had, and his sling was in his hand. So David chose to use the weapon that he was familiar with, that God had prepared him with already. He tried Saul's weapons, but he didn't know how to use them. He wasn't comfortable with them. And so for me, I think that, the best way we can fight the enemy and his schemes is the weapons that God has personally given to us. And the weapons, for me, my weapon is worship. For some people, their weapon is prayer or fasting. It's just whatever God has personally given to you to use as a weapon in your time of battle and fight. So when we see our enemy coming, do we just stand in defeat? Or do we say, like David said, he said, for who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? So David is just pointing something out here, and he is just calling it out for what it is. And so I think for us, when we see our enemy coming, do we just stand in defeat? Or do we say, who is this that stands in the way of the child of the king, whom he has given the power to walk in victory over every lie and every stronghold that the enemy is trying to throw at us? I don't have too much else to say, but God gives us each a weapon, and we need to use the weapon God has given us, not other people's weapons. Saul asked David, after David killed Goliath, Saul asked David, whose son are you? And I just want to leave you guys with this question. Whose son or daughter are you? I am Bethany, the beloved daughter of the King. I hope this blessed you guys, and I hope you guys can get something out of this. We are here every night at 7:30, so just come and check us out. So thank you so much for having me, and God bless.